I'd love to tell you a story about this week because the week of March 18, 2024 is just the beginning of a lot of energy intense weeks ahead of us. And sometimes it's helpful to have a story to relate to because the information could feel overwhelming. So I thought that might be kind of a great way to explain what's happening. You see, all of us, all the humans on this planet, are experiencing the exact same thing at the exact same time on the 19th. It's actually 19th, 20th, because some places in the world, it'll be after midnight. And that's that the sun, our local star, Soul, will be crossing over as we continue our progression around it. It will cross over the equator, Earth's equator. And so we'll have that period of time where there's a day where it's pretty much equal right along the equator. And for the rest of us, it's a turning point where we just are getting closer and closer to either the longest day or the longest night of the year, depending on whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. So we all are going to experience that at the same time. It's like a whistle is blown. It's like it's the start of a race. It's like a moment to take a breath and pause. And because we call it the Aries Equinox, because it happens, sun enters Aries at the same time, it's also the beginning of the zodiac year. The 12 signs of the zodiac start with Aries, number 1, and that's where the sun is crossing. So Aries is known as the sign of initiation, getting things started. Let's go, let's go. Maybe, kind of pooping out because it's a fire sign because they tend to burn hot and go whoosh, kind of, blow down for a bit until they get more fuel. But you know what I mean? It's like any of us, when we get a project started, it's so exciting and awesome and great. And then we either lose momentum or we hit some sort of obstacle that stops us. So, but it always has to have that spark of creation, that flame of inspiration, that Aries spirit to get started. So right now, all of us have that opportunity, whether we're going to be on the southern side of southern hemisphere and going into fall, or here in the northern hemisphere where I am and beginning the official spring, we all have that opportunity to have a reset, start over. And that's just part of the energy of what's happening this week. We just had the sun today, the 18th, the sun conjunct Neptune, and that was in the sign of Pisces. So look at it as the sun as the ultimate source. We all have a sun inside of us, if you will, but that's shining our truth. You can't lie when you're the sun. You have no shadow. It's the shadows are all on the inside. I should say it that way. So sun, which just magnifies anything that it connects with. In fact, it kind of consumes it. Connected with Neptune, and that energy of connection has been building. And then after the 18th, it starts to subside, but it's high on both sides of it. This is a dreamy time because Neptune is this energy of dreams and desires and intuition, psychic messages, and delusion, addiction, procrastination. It's got a shadow and a light side too, but it's also the spiritual feminine. It's the aspect of the feminine, the yin energy that very much connects to spirit, which is another reason why it's considered to be a very psychic archetype. So while the sun is crossing the equator, it's also bringing that energy of what are all the unbelievable possibilities that you didn't even know you could dream in at the same time as initiating into Aries. So it's bringing that energy in because Neptune's at the end of Pisces. That's the sign it's been in. That's its favorite sign to be in because it's in the ocean, which is Neptune's the god of the oceans, right? And so he wants to be in the ocean. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's the blissful seas. It's the endless oceans of imagination and spirituality and no boundaries. It's a very transcendental sign, very compassionate sign. And so this energy is all available for you to infuse into whatever it is you want to start in this new age, if you will. Also, it's our first spring equinox or vernal equinox since Pluto stepped into Aquarius. So it really is firsts in a lot of ways. So, and I have little notes here because there's just too much stuff here. At the same time, or not the exact same time, but around the same time, Mercury, our planet of messengers and objective observation, is crossing the North Node. Now, the North Node is all about what's possible. Where are we going to go? What's our destiny path? And when we're talking about the group of us, all of us, as opposed to your individual natal chart, the North Node is right now guiding us toward how we want to show up in the world, right? This is our path as a group consciousness. And so Mercury crossing that is bringing in some messages for us. It helps us get really clear. How are we pointing ourselves in relationship to what's going on around us? Also, the sun, Mercury conjuncts Chiron after that. So the next day, Chiron, the wounded healer, and Mercury get to have a little conversation about, hey, how are you doing? How are your feelings? How have you been doing with your healing work? What have you learned from it? Where are you at with it now? Are you 5 years sober? Are you still in that relationship you wanted to get out of? Are you being true to yourself and your desires as opposed to feeling too afraid to go forward? Mercury is having this really good conversation with Chiron, and so you may yourself get to spend some energy and time with yourself looking at things like, well, how am I doing? And what would I like to do next? Because again, North Node is still wanting to direct. It's still influencing on this, and Chiron is definitely about the wounds that maybe have stopped you in the past that you've been healing from, and you're ready to move forward. Venus is going to conjunct Saturn. That could put a little bit of a squishiness on this energy of expansion and creativity and wow, all the possibilities, and let's get something started. Because Saturn likes to kind of set a structure and limitations and boundaries, and like, you need to have a plan. You need to do it this way. And Venus, which is considered the more of the earthly feminine, she is the sometimes we call it the lower octave of the feminine energy. Neptune is the higher octave. Venus is the lower octave. So she just wants to have love, and she just wants to have a great time, and she just wants to enjoy all the earthly things, art, music, food, love, all of it, especially love, wants to enjoy all of it. And so her meeting up with Saturn, and this again is in Pisces. And so she likes to be in Pisces. She said to be exalted, really celebrating herself in Pisces. And here's Saturn going, you have a bedtime. So that's not a bad thing though, right? You can have a better day tomorrow if you actually get enough sleep. So this is a really big opportunity for Venus and Saturn to help you in finding where your natural boundaries could be regarding experiencing the wonders of life, but also putting them into a form or a structure that makes it something that you can sustain, that you can grow from. So it's wonderful. And on top of that, the sun is sextiling Pluto at the same time. Sun and Pluto, anytime the two of them are talking, we're getting some pretty deep activations or checks. So if it's a hard aspect like a square, you're going to get a check. But it's a sextile, which is positive and yummy and good. So this is one of the times where the Dark Lord of Transformation, which is what I call Pluto, is actually probably helping you pull something wonderful out of the shadows to be right there in front of you and available. And wow, that's awesome. And I feel like there's some Uranus activation on this. I'd have to go look at the chart and everything, but I think it's coming. And so I think something that you discover is going to be unexpected as well. Then on the 22nd, Mars, the god of war, enters Pisces, not his favorite sign. Because Pisces is about love and compassion, and couldn't we just all get along? And Mars is about, give me something to do. I need an objective. I need to move on something. The status quo is not good enough. We need to keep going. And so Mars in Pisces, you could start doubting yourself, the actions that you've been taking. You may want to slow down a little bit, which is not a bad idea because we just entered the shadow of Mercury retrograde. I didn't even write that down on here. I forgot to do that. So Mercury retrograde shadow begins right at just before the equinox. And so for the next, I don't know what date goes into retrograde. I think it's April 1st. Yeah. So for the next, week and a half here, we've got this, I guess more than like 2 weeks. We've got some time we need to be looking over what's happening so that when we get to the retrograde on the 1st, we know that's where we're going to need to be looking at things. So if you're planning something between now and the 1st, be really careful with all the details. Try to get it initiated before the 1st, if at all possible. And then once you hit the 1st, just be patient with yourself. Things might need to be reevaluated and taken care of. Since Mercury is going to be retrograding in Aries, I think that means a lot about not trying to do things too fast. Slow down. Aries wants to go fast. Aries is not going to like that. But Mercury retrograde in Aries is going to say, yeah, you got to slow down, or you're going to burn up too fast, or you're going to make a mistake. Anyway, back to Mars in Pisces. What you're going to want to do, like I said, is just be really kind to yourself. If you, for some reason, got something started and you suddenly fizzle out, or it isn't going to work, you don't know why you even try to do it, that's okay. That's how we learn what will work. Just take the onus off of it. Just breathe out. Mars moving into Pisces could just give us a little bit of an upset for a few days. So just don't push yourself. Let things kind of slide a little bit if you need to, because it'll all work out. Finally, on the full moon, which is on the 25th, we have a lunar eclipse. I'm going to make another video about that. But you need to know that we have eclipse season starting. So when we have that full moon lunar eclipse, and then on the 8th of April, I think it is, yeah, we have the solar eclipse. Like here in the United States, it's very exciting because we're going to have a big part of the United States have the total eclipse. So anyway, the lunar eclipse, where the moon's partly obscured by the Earth's shadow with this one, it starts this process of transformation because of this tension and magic that's held between the 2 points where the eclipses happen. I'll talk more about that in the next video. I just wanted you to have this so you're ready for this week. So you know, with the equinox, you want to treat it kind of like a new moon, where you're setting some objectives, some goals, some desires. You give yourself a lot of permission for emotional latitude. Pisces, then going into Aries, that's a big shift. And as we move through the week, continue to expand that whole, I love having these ideas, but I'm going to give myself lots of space around them so they can germinate properly and I can tend to them well. I hope this is helpful for you. I know that it's a lot of information, and I'll try to do other smaller videos so that you can digest the parts that apply to you, because all of this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but 1 or 2 points really may, and this could be helpful. If you have any other questions, just leave a comment or reach out and connect with me at my website, maraclearspring.com. Like, subscribe, share. I really love it when you do that. It makes me so happy. And I will hopefully get to connect with you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.